Hi, it's Aaron and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage. I know we're late. I know we're late. Cousin T be right there waiting for us though. I love that. So thank you so much, Cousin T, for
What's
your
up, T?
support. Uh it's Friday, y'all. It's today was like 10 Mondays rolled into one. It was that bad today, and I still have some work I gotta do this afternoon and tomorrow. So I'm not happy about that. I probably have to miss some basketball games.
Yeah. So good evening. I guess it's evening time where you guys are at, mostly on the East Coast. But good evening from the Simon household. Like we say, we're gonna always tell you, keep stacking, keep stacking, keep stacking. Satoshis and ounces and anything else. So week. This week was a good week to be stacking. A lot of people they get moved by the price movement down, so they get nervous. It's a great week to be stacking. Great week to be on the positive side of things, as we have talked about. As you have your thing, your investment portfolio. You have it. You want to turn off. You have it diversified. So as long as we keep our portfolio diversified, and then we will be okay. Everybody will be okay.
I'm sweating. Sorry, y'all. I'm in menopause. It's actually chilly outside, but that heat's got me sweating on camera. Can you see the glow on my forehead and my face now? That's how hot I am. Whew.
So I'm sorry, I forgot where I was, but yeah, let's just keep stacking, and we're gonna get into it today. We're gonna talk about some of the factors that play a part in the price movement. So they're very important factors, things that you should keep your eye on, and we're gonna also talk about some interesting things to come that may affect price movement here in the future, here in the coming future. So we will be on top of that. And, we're going to go over an article with an article you may have seen with a famous investor and some of the things that he thinks about the market, where he sees it going, where he sees maybe the dollar going, and Bitcoin, gold, and silver. So that's
You
what
need
we
me to
got.
pull it up though.
Nah, I mean, it's just read along. There's no charts today. There's nothing to see. Just to read the
Or do you want me to
article.
read it real quick?
I mean, I can read it off the phone, but
But Simon, that writing be too little for me.
I know. But I read the article a couple times today. But like, she likes to get people in the room a little bit, so we could talk about
But we're
some that.
late too, so
Yeah, we could talk about some things that's been going on, or
how y'all doing with finding those black jobs that the people are taking away from us? Trump said that Muggs was like, maybe that's why the market's been so tough. We ain't been applying to them black
black
jobs.
jobs.
How y'all been doing with some of the shenanigans of election? I know it's July, but y'all gonna blink and it's gonna be November. So,
Yeah.
are the Biden riders, are they hard? Are they heavy? Are they relenting after the debate? Like, what does the climate look like? I have no idea.
The debacle. That's what it was.
I have no idea, but I have noticed a lot of black people now, like, you know what? Trump ain't so bad. I know for a fact, outside of color or, shenanigans or anything like that, when Trump was in charge of the economy, because he's a money man, he attracted money. He ensured that money flowed. So, you know, whatever it is you think of him or not, he's good for the economy. As far as I'm concerned, right? If that was just the one thing you had to go off, Biden is not good for the economy. He doesn't seem to care. He writes a check. to any Tom, Dick, or Harry. You could even see like Trump is like, what are we doing with all this money and who are we giving it to? And Trump is like that staunch American, we first.
Yeah, yeah.
So whatever, however you feel about him outside of race, he is good financially, fiscally.
Yeah, and you see a lot of shaming.
And we're not voting. I'm not doing no absentee ballot or nothing. I'm just kind of stating it plain as I see
Yeah,
it.
and you'll see a lot of shaming. They got these shaming tactics, and that's what I say. There's a lot on the internet, a lot of enmity between black men and black women.
Yeah.
But there's shaming tactics that the black women like to take to the black men. Is like, you're the reason that so and so's the
And
president,
we have to save the
and
day
you didn't
again.
vote, and you didn't do this,
But
you
y'all
didn't do
voted for
that.
Kamala, and how'd that work out?
Yeah,
Even when she specifically told you she is not going to do anything special for black people. They got that on camera. They played it over and over and over again. Y'all still put on y'all pearl necklaces. I didn't even know black women wore chucks. I guess they do.
Yeah, and she was just lying out the gate. And
Nah,
stuff like
she
that.
told the truth out the gate.
Well, I'm talking about all this. She knew Tupac.
No. She didn't say she knew him. She said that was her favorite rapper. But when you did the timeline of the time she was in college, that timeline didn't add up. Yeah. And that's the thing. Hip hop heads, we know.
We can overlay the timeline.
We know that obscure bar from the album cut from your third album.
Like, what's my name? Q-Tip and all this stuff. And so you just like, all right, man.
She said she liked Q-Tip too.
Something about Q-Tip.
I wasn't really
get out of here.
You was a Tribe fan?
Yeah, I mean,
you like Tribe Called
more
Quest?
but Wu-Tang more than anybody.
Yeah. I wasn't really big on Tribe Called Quest. I always do say that we're on a world tour and a award tour. Can you remember?
No, I'm sorry. What are you asking?
Are we on a world tour or an award tour with Muhammad, my man?
Oh, that's a world.
I always say we on an award tour with Muhammad, my man.
So there's that,
That's all I like.
It's not a political show, but
I was sad when Fife died, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't a big
Q-Tip fan.
No, I don't know. I watched a few movies with him, and I think that's what ruined it. He's like, he's real like stiff, and I'm sure he's great for hip hop.
I mean, it's just he's like a New Yorker, So
you see, y'all see the disrespect.
So you just gotta you gotta be used to these type of guys, man.
Where my New Yorkers at? Y'all say something. These people from the Midwest want to have something to say all the time. They want to talk about their terrible pizzas. Shout out to Cousin Rue, one of my favorite cousins.
But yeah, so like I said,
it's an award tour. I was right.
It's not a political show, and we're not trying to say who to vote for, but we're just saying it's coming up, and you want to, if you're big crypto, why you the table's not big enough to put that on there. And there's a lot of crypto people in here, crypto warriors. So you want to make sure that you are voting in the right capacity. If you're voting at all, if you care at all, if you're positioned correctly, it doesn't even matter. And that's what we're trying to.
Now it doesn't, but it is refreshing to see that Trump will be the first president to embrace the crypto community.
Yes.
And it's silly for you not to, because there's so much capital there.
Yes.
Right? Anybody, and I get, let's say these are two old men. Biden's an old man, but whoever is in your camp, like, hey, why don't we just pander to the people who actually have some money?
Yes.
Instead of pandering to people who don't have any money. Now, what they're doing is, and I want to say it was shout out to BK Crypto and his education group. Every now and then, Simon and I have the pleasure to meet up with them, sit, chit chat, talk about, the temperature in the streets and stuff like that. But they had kind of made me aware about the whole migrant situation. I couldn't understand the implosion of the United States from the inside. I couldn't understand that type of demo job. That didn't make no sense to me. And then they basically explained to me that the Democrats are getting hip to how they're treated, right? Tariq Nasheed is absolutely, I have no idea who Trump's VP is. Y'all would have to tell us.
Yeah, he said he'll let us know
Oh, okay.
by the time of the
Yeah, you have to tell me because I don't know. But the Democrats are getting hit to what's going on, that they don't really get anything and that they're like puppeteers and they don't get the positions that they're promised. What is the owl's name?
yeah, these
I
guys,
can't
and
think
man,
of
I
his
can't remember
name.
his name.
Roland.
Roland Martin.
Roland Martin. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed because he's really the one that kind of made us be like, you know what, you're right. We don't really get nothing, and we be at that ballot box. My mother's 80 something years old, and she go to the Democratic Party Club. And they're in Florida. They're in the heat, hot heat. Doing all of this work for the Democrats, and then you start to see like, all right, you guys did all of that to vote for the mommy. What did we get? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But you would think that Biden's camp would tell him, like, hey, there's a lot of liquidity and capital in the crypto space. The crypto space, if nothing else, the overarching theme of the crypto space, they are faithful.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I don't want to call it the C word, but it's almost like a little cult.
Yeah. So
Right? It's got like a little cult following his little lifestyle we adhere to. And
so yeah,
you're silly to exclude them from any type of platform promise that you're campaigning for. It doesn't make sense.
yeah. So, but bottom line is, you get down to it. People who are serious, El Salvador, they have a younger president. He's 42 years old. He's more forward thinking. He has the ability now in that Central America, LATAM area for game theory. We just told you he's already game theoried Argentina, so that's a big deal. He's already game theoried Honduras, right?
That's the
Costa
female president that he was talking to.
Yeah, Costa Rica, right? They got Bitcoin Jungle. Honduras has Bitcoin River, so they got that going on.
Guatemala has something too, babe.
Yeah, Guatemala has
A Bitcoin something.
Bitcoin something. And so,
But I also want to tell you something interesting. You had sat and watched a very long documentary with President Bukele. Do you remember that, when they were asking him about the satanic aspect to the gangs?
yeah, that was an interview he had with Tucker
Carlson.
Carlson. Really good interview. It's kind of short, about an hour. And he just really, yeah, it felt long. He really went over what MS-13 was about and why that they had to sweep them and get them out of there.
But one very interesting, and I think deserves some type of recognition, at least from my point of view, is that he leads his office with God first. And when I say God, I'm talking about the Most High, because I always have to look at like, well, who is your God? Let me see who this is, right? And it's very apparent. We're getting off the rails, but it's just a few people in the chat. It's to be less than 10 people, so we could chop it up for a little bit.
Okay.
But he leads with God first. And he says, you can tell that I lead with the Most High first, right? Because how can a small country like Ecuador, how could a small country like El Salvador be able to eliminate, not reduce, but eliminate violent crime? How could we go from being the most dangerous country in the world to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere with the little bit of resources that we have? Why couldn't America do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is simply because America has absolutely no intention whatsoever of quelling the crime, because as demonic as this is, there's money in it.
Of course.
Right? When you watch these rappers get killed, understand that the record company had life insurance policies on them.
Right. It's money in all this. It's money in all so
when assets pass away in the military, you think the military don't get paid on that asset? Yeah, they paid you out a couple $100,000, if that. But the military gets paid for every asset they lose. That's why they don't mind losing assets. You're worth more perished than you are in a 20-year, 30-year career, right? There's money in violent deaths. And America has absolutely no intention in reducing the crime. The other problem is, too, El Salvador is a homogeneous country for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Where America, if America was to take on that stance and they really wanted to, remember the war on drugs? Where's the war on drugs now that half of white America is hooked on meth, hooked on heroin, right? You have whole cities overrun like Kensington.
Kensington, that's a part of Philadelphia.
It's a part
Kensington.
of Philadelphia, but look how much of Philadelphia that is taking up.
It's a large city, but they still have their part of Philadelphia that they keep clean.
And I'm sure that's not the only part either.
But this is the part they have parts that they keep clean so that they can have tourism.
Simon is Philadelphia. That used to be the head. That is the historical headquarters of the United States. The historical headquarters.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They still have places like if you wanted to go there.
I understand that, but I want to ask you for real, why would we allow this? We didn't allow it during the crack era, did we? No. Hell no. The cops came in Queens and stuff like that. They was killing everybody. Right, and it's good in a sense because we don't have those problems in our community now. Queensbridge projects got cleaned up, Hollis is cleaned up, Lefrak City's gotten cleaned up. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We had the war on drugs when it was Black people who had their problems. 70s, 80s, right? Heroin to crack. Right. New Jack City era. And now it's like since to me, 2010, 2012, do you remember we were getting all of those deceased donor kidneys? Yeah. You remember how we were getting them?
Yeah, they were. Weren't they from?
They were coming in droves.
From
upstate, from upstate Ohio and stuff. And it's almost like, well, they have a disease, they have an addiction, and we have to show them compassion. But when it was us, you were shown no compassion. And I say all of that to say, if America was to take on the stance Kelly took, all they're going to do is just round all of us up. So we ain't even the problem, right? When you start looking at the statistics of crime and so on and so forth, we are not the problem.
Well, they have to round up. The problem is it's a melting pot and it's not homogeneous.
It's not homogeneous and the bias exists.
The bias exists. The crime numbers exist. Yes, you're going to have to round up the Black people, but you're going to have to round up the white people too. But you got to round up the immigrants who come over here and cause crime issues. You know, that's the thing about the United States is the immigrants who come to the United States come and cause crime issues. When we go to another country, we don't do that. We don't start up gangs and all kind of stuff like that. We just come over here to retire and it's you give us
Black expats typically don't travel to cause any type of crime or issues or anything like that. Now, Cousin T made a very hey, Let Freedom Ring. Thank you so much for joining us, love. Let Freedom Ring is our longest supporter. Let Freedom Ring has been watching episodes
forever and ever,
since the single digits, y'all. Forever. Oh, shout out to Cousin Will. Thank you for joining. He said, shout out, cousins. So Cousin T says that the South American countries don't have enough liquidity to influence world reform. We need a first world country to embrace Bitcoin. Understood. But
the highest
never
level.
Doubt little Dutty build big dams. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Right? The idea is that if these little countries can get themselves, one, untethered from the dollar, even if they keep the dollar, we have wealth outside of whatever it is you think you're doing. Mm-hmm. Right? However you feel like you have power over us, we have wealth outside of you. And that's the point Bukele's trying to make. Mm-hmm. Yes, we are ruled by the dollar here in El Salvador, but my wealth has nothing to do with your dollar. Mm-hmm. You what?
No.
Go ahead. Go tell Reggie you're hungry.
Go ahead, buddy.
I know, but I can't dish it out right now. Go tell Reggie. Say, Reggie, mommy said to dish me out some food.
All right. Go ahead.
Mommy all day long. So
Shut the door.
if the little countries, what they're going to do is see that little country do that thing. And that game theory is just as important as if the UK decided we're going to go all in, and then the rest of Europe would follow behind.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And it's a way for these smaller countries, Cousin T, to emancipate themselves from that dollar, in a sense, like what I just said. Not all of them use the dollar, but I'm sure they have to make settlements in dollars.
Yeah,
that our wealth has nothing to do with your dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank, period. And it's a way to also emancipate your citizens. It is very obvious that President Bukele cares about his citizens. And we haven't seen that outside of maybe some of the Swiss countries, Denmark, all of those.
Yeah, you don't see too much of it.
Yeah, right. I don't know how their leaders care about them, but they create an environment.
And from what I can understand, they're not going to be some kind of large powerhouse. They're trying to be more like a Singapore, Dubai, something like that, where yes, we're a small entity, but we command a lot of capital.
Right. And to me, that's the best way to do it, to be a big fish in a little pond versus being a gigantic whale, in this vast ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what America's turning to, right? They're just turning into another whale in this gigantic ocean that we call a global economy. Whereas President Bukele is going to have significant power and influence in his small environment. So never underestimate the underdog, really. Don't do it, because you blink and that person, the gap gets closed quickly. It's almost like the tortoise and the hare story.
Yeah. So I always keep an eye on him, man, because he's young and he's making moves, and he's trying to get the other people to make moves as well. And people are going to start noticing, and then they're going to be like, hey, we need a young progressive president. All these old crotchety white men, whitish men.
Do you remember that movie?
We gotta move on from that.
Grumpy Old Man. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we gotta move on from that. We gotta move on from having an 80-year-old president who's out of touch with the people who matter, who are going to actually make the world run 20 and 30 years.
But the problem is the entire cabinet is old, from your Speaker of the House to your Treasurer to your Secretary of Defense. They're all old.
Right.
And they come from a generation that's wildly out of touch with the current demographic and trend of the country. Right? You guys are already rich and out of touch. But you're also generationally out of touch. You're doing stuff the way your grandfather did it back in the freaking 1700s and stuff, because you're just that old.
That's how old they are. And so that's why you gotta keep an eye on the upcomers, the rising stars, and keep an eye on the fake plays, the fake outs that they try to give you.
And then two, right, El Salvador. So I want you guys to look up, when you get a chance, Empire City. Okay? The United States is actually part of a system. And the United States is the military arm of this system. The Vatican is the spiritual arm of the system. Nothing happens in this world. Everything in this world is a spiritual warfare first. All the other shit is just you're getting to see that in a tangible sense. Okay. So the Vatican is the spiritual arm of this Empire City, and London is the economic arm. So you have the three cities, Washington, D.C. I say America, but it's really Washington, D.C., right, is the military arm. The Vatican is a spiritual arm, and the Vatican is its own jurisdiction, sovereign, and London is the economic arm. We are tethered to this system. And when I say tethered, that includes the citizens. We are unknowingly constantly coming into agreement with these systems that these people, hey, Cryptonomics, how you doing, cousin? We
Hey,
haven't
how's
seen you
it
in a
been
long
going?
time. You should be in a good mood today, Silver up.
We thought you forgot about
No,
us.
So I think sometimes Cryptonomic probably watch the replay or something.
Okay.
And
Well,
two, we're late, right? So maybe we're on at a time now where it interferes with his schedule or something.
yeah, it's Friday night. It's 4th of July weekend. People probably out partying and enjoying family and
I
friends.
pray that people are safe and they don't play around with these firecrackers.
People enjoying some food and drink. You know how that
But
is.
look up Empire City and look up how the city is established and the propaganda that goes along with Empire City, right? London, the Vatican, the United States, the military arm, the economic arm, and the spiritual arm of the system. President Bukele isn't tethered that way to anything. We are still the children of England. It don't matter that they teach you in school about Independence Day, right? So this fell honestly timely, right?
Hmm.
This conversation that we're having. No, we are still, you ever notice that every single president, before the queen died, obviously, had to go and kiss the queen's ring? Every single president we've ever had, first thing they do is they go visit the Queen of England. And in this case, by happenstance, it's the King of England who's currently having a cancer scare.
Yeah,
Cousin Tobum said Raoul Pal
yeah,
said the crash is fake. And Cryptonomics said, yeah, he said he saw that silver was up.
yeah. So let's get into it then. Uh, oh, perfecto.
You bought one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get right into it then, because there's a few things going on. Everybody is pretty much uh, worried about the Bitcoin price. So the Bitcoin price has not been going in our direction.
Babies just ain't here because there's food, y'all.
There's food
And we have to
downstairs,
bring it
man.
upstairs because we'll never get any. We bought them some pizza, so their pizza's downstairs. And then, have fun, Sean. Be safe. I see you tonight.
Shut that. So can you, and yeah, that right there. Let's talk about the Bitcoin price, because everybody's been up in arms about it all day, all week, because it's been dropping for the last. I mean, I got a chart. It's been dropping for at least a month. So let's look at the Bitcoin chart. I'm gonna look at the small chart on my phone and see what we got. What we got? All right, so I don't know, man. Let me refresh this chart. Okay, looks like Bitcoin right this minute is 56,645. So quite a bit better than earlier today. It's been it's been hold on, what are you doing? That's I know, baby, but I think we need gas. I know, I just got it. I just got it. He says at 60. Huh? And you gotta go to work tomorrow. It's at 60. You gotta go to work tomorrow. It's all right. Let me get it tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's at 56,645 USD. So let's take a look at that. Last 5 days, you see that Bitcoin is down 9.84%, almost down 10% 5 days, which is not good at all. That's not good at all. You don't want to see your investment down 10%, but you're still up because we've been in it for so long. Can we pull up the Bitcoin price if you wanted to share it with them?
I was telling cousin BK Crypto today, I woke up to 32 emails in my inbox.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our newbie cousins were panicking. Oh, sorry, I did Bitcoin and MX then because I'm so used to doing that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Were panicking because they bought, they're newbies, right? So they bought at the top when it was.
Let us see the chart.
Baby, I'm going to.
Oh, okay. But just so that people can see what we're talking about at the same time.
Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so they're able to see it, baby.
Okay.
But I'll let you see it in
Yeah,
big.
let me see. So yeah, I'll go ahead. So we'll go ahead to the 5 day. So 5 day, like I said, you're down 9.84%. You don't like to see that. And on your 1 month chart, you're down 20%. 19.96%. Down 20% in 1 month, which
That's volatile.
that's very volatile. That's that you can't have that of in a place where you are protecting your wealth that you built, right? So if you got your retirement and you can't have 20% swings in your retirement. This is why
No.
people go to bonds and things like that where they can get I want to know if I can get 2-3%. This is why I use precious metals.
But again, their goal is to protect wealth, not to build it. There's a difference
Right.
in the objective when we
Yes.
talk about those things. And that's some of the things the cousins have to understand because in our community,
Hmm.
right, the object, or it feels like the overarching theme is that we're always trying to get money.
If you're trying to get money, then this volatility is nothing.
Right. But we haven't had the practice, and this is important, the practice of understanding the levels of money because that is a mindset shift.
Yes, it
Right?
is.
So now understanding that when I get to a point where I've accumulated the amount of money that I would consider to be abundant, I then need to protect that
Protect it.
money. And I
Yes.
feel like our community either doesn't get to that level or is wildly unconscious about that level. We look at entertainers all the time. We never hear them talking about protecting their wealth because they're not used to having it and then they often squander it and they're
No,
left
we
with
only we
nothing.
only hear them talk about spending it.
The consumption of it, right? And how they end up going broke.
It's consumption,
Sit down right there,
consumption,
Bubba.
consumption. That's all it is. It's consumption the whole time. And it's consumption, and they come out here on TV and they show you consumption and they make the regular people want to consume. When it's not about
And
that.
that's by design, right? They
Yeah.
get free stuff in order to influence you to buy those expensive items that we typically. And when I say you can't afford them, people are like, I could afford an $800 purse. And then
Why
the
though? But
understanding
why?
is that yes, you could afford it now, but if you're putting it on your credit card and your debt to income ratio goes up and it causes issues in the future, that you really couldn't afford it.
Right. And who are you buying an $800 purse for? Right.
Instagram.
Pretty much for other people. So I mean, I don't know why.
Now I'm not gonna lie, right? So when we talk about bags like Birkin bags and stuff like that, because that was for the professional, they do have, and this is if you're a professional, you're on the go all the time, you travel a lot. They do have features on that bag, right? The bag never wears out, period. Right? You buy that bag once in life, you don't need another bag. It doesn't wear
But
out.
people
There's no
consistently
wear
buy
and
more
tear.
bags.
Like a Beyonce who going to get a Birkin bag for every month of the year from her husband as a Christmas gift because he ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing at home. Yes,
Why do we
but
have to even go there with that? What I'm saying is the normal person, and this is super consumption, and they know it's overconsumption, and they know who they are marketing
but
to.
what I want to say though is this: there are certain things that you're paying for the quality of it.
Mhm.
Right? I tell you, we have a brand here in Mexico called Presimo, and it is the great value equivalent for Walmart. For them, Presimo at Soriana is the great value equivalent. You are
Right.
wasting money trying to save money buying poor quality lines like Presimo.
But you're wasting money buying purses so that other women could think you have a nice purse.
Understood. Understood. That's why I said if you're buying a purse for practical reasons,
Nobody is.
if
Nobody's
you
buying
are
a
a
purse.
businesswoman and you do need some of the
Like who? Name them. That you're giving an argument to people that this is not really what they're doing.
I'm not giving an argument that that's not what they're doing. I'm saying that some expensive purses have utility because The strap ain't gonna come off, the seam ain't gonna rip. It's got pockets and compartments that keep your wallet from being scanned. Like, it has utility, and you're paying for the quality, right? Just like you can't wear no name brand shoes, you are paying for the quality when you buy LeBron shoes.
They're not
I
gonna
couldn't go
hold
out and buy you them fake shoes down in Topito and put them on your feet and be like, they are Jordans. They just wasn't made by the Jordan factory.
you.
Your
Right.
feet would hurt in them.
Right.
We have to spend the money on the
No, this
quality.
is about consumption, and
But
80% of the consumption is by women, whether it's black women, white women, Hispanic women. That's where the consumption is coming from.
understood, but there is still a utility for buying quality. And I gave you an example in your own life.
Yes, and there's still problematic spending when people have 80% of the consumption over the other rest having less than 20.
Understood, right? They're gonna consume. And the idea
But no, no,
is,
I'm still using
oh,
that
okay.
chart. Yeah.
The
So,
idea is to make people feel worthless so that they spend the money of it to keep the money flowing.
well, sometimes people you gotta be a little bit more technical, and you gotta get in here and really do the work. So you looking at this, look 6 months out, you still have 29% positive performance if you're on 6 months, which is a low time preference. And if you're on year to date, you are close to the same, a little bit, right under 30%. And if you're on 1 year, you're at 89%. Is that right? Yeah. So if we go all the way back, and we go July 6th. So that's as far back as I can go. That's close enough. July 6th, Bitcoin was $29,899. And so if you would have just sat from one July 6th to almost another, even though the price doesn't look great, you still have an 89% increase. So this is what we have in Bitcoin. We know where's the phone at. So let's talk about the problem, and let's talk about some of the reasons that the price dropped today, and let's talk about some of the things that we can do. Now, first and foremost, so after seeing that, you go back over here. This is information that you would just like to keep up on a weekly basis.
While he's looking for that, Let Freedom Ring said, I'm still buying a dip. Cousin
Yeah,
Will said, I do like the 20% drops in Bitcoins because I can pick up an extra 200,000 sats for every 1 million as our dollar cost average. So it does give people a chance to
yeah,
get in, right? We're looking at the positives to some of this.
yeah. Because this time next year, I'm telling you, this price right now is gonna be looking like, man, that
Hmm.
wasn't nothing. You should have grabbed it.
Cousin T said, men too nowadays, like you were talking about the women. You know how many guys I see walking at the bus stop dressed fresh as hell, but they're walking. But I
Yeah,
was saying that there are some people who do buy for utility, right? When you bought me that purse, it's a beautiful purse. I didn't run to Facebook or Instagram to take a picture of it.
oh,
And
okay.
there's no black women here for me to show it
Yeah,
off to. It's I use the purse as utility. You know, I put my journal in there. I'm
yeah.
just saying sometimes you spend money on quality and it doesn't have anything to do with showing off.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the price movement and all this other stuff, tells another story.
Understood. I get,
Yeah.
what people are doing, but there are people you were getting on the women, and I was just saying that not all women.
It's not about the women, it's just that the numbers show 80% of the consumerism comes from the women.
Hmm.
So, when stuff is being bought up, when they have these sales, 70% off, all this stuff like that's where it's being
Hmm.
bought up. So that's all we're saying. We're just saying the numbers
Hmm.
go that way. But, there's always going to be somebody, who you could outlier and say, yeah, I don't spend that much on
Like,
this or
yeah, you
that.
check my Facebook. I don't even have selfies on there. You could tell somebody else took that picture of me.
But
if I am in the picture by myself. I
so
don't
but
run the social media.
so look what they got here. This is on fxstreet.com. A very reputable yeah, I think it's a reputable publication. Gold rallies after U.S. employment rates unexpectedly rise to 4.1%. Oh, so now we're only unemployed at 4.1%.
But you know isn't true.
Okay, so
Do you want me to read it?
yeah, you could say what you get, the points that you get from this article. Gold extends its position, and that's what we want to talk about gold, because every time you see gold make a move, you know silver making that extra move on top, especially with the gold to silver ratio being what it is. And I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure it's over 80 to 1, and that's just too high. So when you see gold making a move, then you know silver's making a bigger move. And that's something to be positive about, because what we say is you put your money in the gold and silver to protect it, and not have it out here where it's volatility, 20% move. If you were a person, say you were a person and you worked 25 years at a company, corporation, and you get a certain amount of retirement that you have access to and you can invest, you want to make sure you put it somewhere where it's safe, right? You can't say you got $500,000 saved up in your investment. You can't take a 20% loss in 1 week. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
You worked all your adult life to save up this amount of money. You can't take a 20% L. Right? That's why you put it somewhere safe, and then you bring something over here that you feel that you're not worried about losing. And that's why you have different tiers. That's why we always bring precious metals up, because it's a place of safety, right? And a lot of this has to do with your age, because if you spent 25, 30 years and then you're close to paying your house off and all this stuff, or you just paid your house off, you want to save, you want to put your stuff somewhere safe.
So, Cousin
Yes.
T says silver has been ranging since 2020. Come on, man. I'm looking at the chart right now. Yes, it's not as volatile as Bitcoin, but silver has been a.
It's been ranging since when?
T said 2020.
Come on, man. We talking about low time preference. That's
Mhm.
that's
Silver
nothing.
has a 6,000 year
Right.
resume.
That's nothing.
And it's older than 6,000. It's just when people
Yeah.
started to like record it, it has a resume.
Right.
Right. So, and it's your decision what you want to put money in, but silver and gold have always been God's money. It will always continue to be God's money. It makes a significant appearance in the
Yeah.
kingdom of heaven if you read what the
Yeah,
kingdom of heaven
but
looks like. So, that's always going to be our thing. Again, sometimes wealth is more than an economical aspect, right? When we
mhm.
talk about silver and gold, and this is why people wear it all over their body, it increases your energy,
Yeah,
right?
and
And that's why you wear earrings, nose ring, necklace, bracelets, uh, belly chain, anklets, toe rings. That's why the Egyptians, even today, people are typically adorned in gold from head to toe for a reason. It was a way
yeah.
to energize their economic body. It's organic, it's from the earth. God talks about it constantly in the Bible, um, because it is the tangible exchange of wisdom. This is why you pay people to do things you don't know how to do. Right? That's where the idea of being a professional comes from. So no one could ever talk me out of precious metals. It just
Yeah,
has too many intrinsic qualities that a currency typically doesn't have.
and you can also see by looking at the chart from 2020 to now, I understand what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand when you're looking at a chart, you're looking at spot prices.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bought it at a spot here, this is what you're selling at spot there. But if you're buying, for example, MS70 numismatic American Silver Eagles over spot with a premium, these things they appreciate value a lot more than a 1 ounce piece of silver,
Mm-hmm.
right? So most of the times, if you were selling your silver, you would be selling something that would appreciate far more than spot silver.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? You might have a coin that has low mintage.
Yeah. Because silver and gold have
Yeah.
its own portfolio. So, cousin T, what we'll do another show about it. Silver has its own portfolio, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have your constitutional silver, which I think everybody should have in these end days
And that goes up. That goes up.
significantly, which
Yes.
was currency at, it's still currency, right? Because it quarters dimes, um, which has significant utility.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially since there's a change shortage, because now to create the metal costs more than what the change is actually worth. So it takes a lot more than 10 cents to make 10 cents,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So there's a change shortage. This is why they're pushing people to do digital payments, right? So if this thing costs $35.12, there's no change that needs to be given to you, right? It just
Yeah.
comes right off your card or your Apple Pay, Google Pay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the different ways that you can pay.
Yeah, so the spot price is around so that you have an idea how much that you may have made here and there. But if say 6 years ago, so I'll say this since you use 2020, if you bought American Silver Eagle minted in 2020, emergency strikes sometimes, right? Because of
Mm-hmm.
COVID, there was
Absolutely.
emergency strikes that were coming out of the Philadelphia Mint, emergency strikes coming out of the San Francisco Mint.
Mm-hmm.
These are emergency strikes, first strikes, emergency strikes.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be worth way more than just,
Your average
yeah,
silver.
your spot price silver. And so that's what you have to see it that way too, unless you are only buying, um, you know, hand poured average rounds and, 5 and 10 ounce pieces, then yes, you got to live really with the spot price and the premium. But it depends on how you buy your silver. If you're buying American Silver Eagles, which we always recommend, Silver Eagles, Maple Leaves, Britannias, Philharmonics, Krugerrands, so on and so forth, you're gonna get the high premium on them. Number one, and two, because they are most recognized around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the big tenets of money is being universally recognizable. So if you bust out a silver eagle on somebody in New Zealand, they know exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna get top price, top premium. People aren't gonna
But we're
lowball
definitely
you.
going to do a show on the silver portfolio just to kind of reiterate for those who are in it. I know cousin Tamadon, remember?
Yeah.
He was dollar cost averaging not only into Bitcoin, but I think into precious metals weekly
Oh, okay.
instead of biweekly like he used to.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can talk to you about the portfolio and how that works to give you a bit more breadth and depth into precious metals and precious metals investing. That way you don't come to this conclusion that you're at. Or, I don't want anybody to read that and come to that conclusion as well, and they lack the breadth and depth to come to that conclusion. But Simon's got this really good article. Simon, I read the article while we were sitting here, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be beneficial to go over all of the article because a lot of the people who are viewing the show, it would apply to
Okay.
on an economic standpoint. I read that last one.
Okay.
Kryptonomics said about to get me some pizza. Let's go silver. Yeah, we sent Sean to get pizza for the kids.
Hey,
And if we don't at least get a box, we're only gonna eat 2 slices out of it. We won't get any. Tino is like a little ninja turtle. He eat all the pizza.
yeah, I kicked him out, man.
Yeah, he was like, "Mommy, more pizza." That's why I just send him downstairs to his brothers.
Go
So gold extends its positive run as the probability of the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates increases. A run of baby, what?
Sorry.
The whole thing's falling apart now. Hold on, y'all. What was you trying to do?
Oh, I just tripped on the wire.
I know, but the battery out and everything. Okay. Y'all just give me 2 seconds because I'm the technical person here. Y'all see how dark it is already. All right. Do me a favor, since you turn that light on.
You want the big light on, right?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. So a run of weak data from the U.S. indicates inflationary pressures are waning and interest rates could fall. Friday's non-farm payroll report showed mixed outcomes, but investors were spooked by the unexpected rise in unemployment rate. When I read the article, you're also going to hear that the economists were also surprised, and that is concerning. Meaning, if they're surprised that this isn't properly being forecasted. The US dollar weakens, adding a backwind to gold as counterparts in Europe strengthen on diminishing political risk. So gold rises on Friday, continuing its run of positive days as investors become increasingly optimistic. The Federal Reserve will lower interest rates sooner than previously thought. The US dollar softens, adding a lift to gold, which is predominantly bought and sold in dollars. The release of the U.S. non-farm payment rolls, or NFP, report on Friday adds further fuel to gold's rally after the unemployment rate showed a rise from 4.0 to 4.1, reaching levels it hasn't been since the end of the COVID crisis in November of 2021. And we want to start asking why. Why is the unemployment that high? Why does it look like post COVID, when everybody was home and people got laid off because they couldn't go to work? Economists had not expected this result, and it indicates a cooling labor market that could make it even more likely the Fed will cut interest rates in order to stimulate hiring. Why would this have eluded economists? Why couldn't this have been forecasted by the economists, what you get paid to do? Other data from the NFP report was not so negative. The NFP showed 200,000 new employees joined the workforce in June, when only 190 had been expected from the 272,000. We're talking about addition 72,000 jobs previously. So we're 72,000 jobs less. So that is bad news. That's not good news, right? Because that's what they expected. Average hourly earnings. So, for those who are paid hourly, meanwhile, a metric that can influence inflationary pressures and the Fed's policy on interest rates remain unchanged on a monthly basis, showing 0.3% growth as expected. On a year over year basis, wage inflation cooled to 3.9 from 4.1 previously as expected, according to data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Gold trades in $2,300, well, $2,360 on Friday, up by more than 1/3% on that day. As bets increase.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry about
Watch
that.
the court. Watch the court.
Yes, indeed.
Um, as bets increased that the Fed will begin cutting interest rates as soon as its meeting in September. A string of subpar data releases. That's a problem. Why would data be subpar? From the US has dented confidence. So remember what I told you, when you're reading this, you want to look at the words that they choose to use, right? Instead of them saying manipulated reporting, they use the term subpar data has dented confidence in the economy and increased speculation the Fed will move to lower interest rates. When subpar data just basically means you didn't report what you had and it threw everybody off. That's why the economists couldn't forecast it, because the data wasn't accurate, meaning someone manipulated the data. I want to tell y'all something on a spiritual level. I was watching a video today by Derek Prince, right? May you rest in peace. God bless his soul. And he was explaining what witchcraft really is. And when you hear God in the Bible talk about suffer no witch to live, the reason why God hates witchcraft is because it is an attempt to either manipulate,
Yes.
dominate, or bend someone to your will. It overrides um, God's, I'm gonna call it privilege for now, for us to have free will and to make our own choices.
Natural order of things.
Right.
Natural order.
So manipulation, even if you're not in the kitchen putting spices together and casting a spell on someone, any type of manipulation and deceit is still considered witchcraft, because you're bending something to your will. You're not allowing it to organically happen. So the string of subpar data releases, and this is what I'm saying when we say words are spells, they're casting spells on you, they're doing stuff to your mind. It's a psychological warfare, it's a spiritual warfare first. So they manipulated the data so terribly that it threw the economists off, it threw the reports off. So we couldn't properly forecast it, and it dented the confidence in the economy. And that economy consists of all of us, or constitutes, that's what I was looking for, constitutes of all of us.
There we go. Got it.
Weak labor market and service sector data has particularly impacted expectations. The probability of the Fed cutting its principal policy rate has increased from the mid-60s at the start of the week to 72% on Friday. This is according to the CME FedWatch tool, Simon, which uses the price of the 30-day Fed funds futures in its calculations. The promise of lower interest rates, in turn, increases gold's attractiveness as an investment. And y'all have to remember, when these people are investing in gold, they are not like us, buying a couple ounces at a time. They are buying metric tons at a time. And this is where we're talking about those future contracts. And the reason why it's attractive as an investment is because it lowers the opportunity cost of holding a non-interest paying asset. Gold gets a further backwind from the weaker US dollar.
So do you guys understand that?
Okay, go ahead, babe.
A non-interest paying asset. So what we're having here is gold being a safe place to park your money, but there is no guaranteed interest that will be paid from gold. Whereas if you take some kind of bond, a T-bond, treasury bond, you get some sort of guarantee of basis points that you will receive. And even if gold goes up 5% and you can take the interest of it going up, it is not a guaranteed interest paying asset. And so they hold that against gold. You okay? They hold that against gold. So that's one of the things you have to know if you're trying to, protect your money and have it in a safe haven. Is a non-interest paying asset, even though it is still a tier 1 asset. It is non-interest paying by definition.
But let freedom ring. Hey, cousin, let's square. I haven't seen you in a while. New Jersey in the house. That's my neighbor across the way. Let Freedom Ring said the corrupt data is trying to prop up Biden, right? I agree with that. Trying to make him look good. They're trying to make the numbers look good. But what's happening is, this is the information you furnished me. So I'm making my assessment based on the information you're furnishing me as an economist. Shit's popping up. And I'm like, well, where did this come from? Only to come back and say, okay, the data that you provided me with was manipulated. And
Hmm.
then what they do is they cover for each other. So they called it subpar data. There is no reason why data, which is a fixed fact, should be subpar. It should be just that. You understand what I'm saying?
It shouldn't be subpar.
It shouldn't be anything but a fixed fact.
Hmm.
Right? So when you use terms like subpar, it's like, well, the data was bad. Well, data can't be bad. You have to do something to it in order to
Make it bad.
degrade it,
Yeah,
which
I got
means
you.
you've manipulated the data.
Hmm.
But again, like I said, words are spells, especially the English language. In the English language, all of the words are designed to be a spell, right? Because it comes from a whole demonic, and we'll do that in another show, hopefully with Cousin Rue. But again, I'm just showing you that all of that boils down to bending something to their will.
Hmm.
And in 2024, 2025, in the age of Aquarius, you are noticing how things are being exposed. It's almost like if this is the age of knowing, it's also a way of saying this is the age of truth.
The
You're
age
not
of
going to be
truth.
able to hide, you're not going to be able to deceive, you're not going to be able to manipulate without people knowing that this is exactly what's happening.
Hmm.
Um The pound sterling, so this is we're headed over to Europe, is edging higher on Friday after a Labour Party landslide victory on July 4th general elections, bringing the promise of growth and stability because they're having a lot of instability over there.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm glad that you brought that up real quick. General elections in the United Kingdom, because this is the type of stuff you need to be up on as you look at your macroeconomics. People say, well, why do I care about general elections in England? But England is one of the top economies
England
in the
is
world.
our parent. I talked to
So
you
you
guys
might
about
want to be worried about
Empire City. I want all of you
it.
guys to look it up and get very familiar with Empire City,
Hmm.
right? London is the economical arm, the United States is the military arm, the Vatican is the spiritual arm.
And so being
It
being
directly affects us.
yeah, it directly affects you being is it breast, is that the right word, of what's going on.
Yeah, being abreast.
There we go. There we go. Thank you for my most intelligent wife,
Oh,
the
thank
most
you.
high, the most high. My beautiful wife, she always corrects me and tilts my crown, tilts my invisible
um,
crown. But yeah, you gotta watch the UK, you gotta watch England, see what they're doing.
and we're directly tethered to them, babe.
Yeah, so maybe.
The euro is recovering on a reduced political risk as it becomes increasingly clear that the French far right National Rally Party will now probably not achieve a majority in the second round of elections on Sunday. Gold is probably also benefiting from a generalized demand as a result of broader geopolitical and macro factors. The
Mhm.
ongoing conflicts in the Middle East and the Ukraine. Do we have something to do with that? They're talking about the Israeli Palestinian conflict, y'all. As
Yes.
well as the increased risk of a Trump presidency are still factors driving nervous investors to store their wealth in gold. And this is what we were trying to explain, Cousin T. It's bigger than what you think it is. And I know you were talking about silver specifically, but these investors also. The expansion of the BRICS trading bloc and its express aim to de dollarize global trade has also increased demand for gold, which is viewed as the most realistic replacement for countries denied access to dollar denominated markets because of sanctions. Set against this, however, is falling political risk in Europe, which, despite a notable swing to the far right, is likely to remain in the hands of moderate coalitions. High central bank demand, which accounts for roughly a quarter of the gold market, will also be easing. Why is it easing? Because remember, they told us that they're buying the dollar
Yes,
because of its high yield.
they're hoarding the dollar.
They're hoarding
That's
it.
the word they use.
So as we're reading this, you want to connect the dots. Like when we were little kids, remember when this dot would be number one and this is number two, when you would follow it and it would create a picture of a whale or a horse or something like that. So when you're saying, well, why would the central bank's demand for gold be easing? Because they moved their investment into the dollar. Much buying was driven by Asian central banks using gold as a hedge to support their domestic currencies. Why is Asian increasing their demand for gold? Because they want to usurp the dollar, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're looking and we have to be. I remember my grandmother used to tell me, if you're going to read that Bible, you have to become a chemist, a botanist, a biologist. Like, you have to be jacks of all of these different trades. If you are building wealth, you have to become an economist, right? You have to become a financial advisor. You have to become a scientist. You have to become a political pundit in a sense, right? For yourself, not for anybody else. You're not showing off or anything. That way, as you're doing your research, you understand what's going on, and it allows you, notice they said it allows you to hedge a bit better.
Yes.
You know when to stuff all of your money into this thing, you know when to pull back and ease from here and maybe put more there. So we know the Asians, obviously, they're not hoarding the dollar. So they are buying more gold in order to support their domestic currencies as they depreciated against the dollar when it rallied. Gold now has established itself comfortably above the 50-day simple moving average, Simon, overcoming a major technical milestone for the metal.
Yeah.
It has reached a resistance level, though.
Mm-hmm.
At swing high of the $2,368 from June 21st.
So
A break. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so that's the exact number. I'm glad that you have the exact number, because I would say the resistance from, if you just eyeballing the chart, is 2,400, but she gave the exact number, which is close to 2,400. That's the exact resistance number that you want to flip. You want to turn that into support. And then once you turn resistance into support, it gives you area to grow moving forward.
So a break above this level would add further confidence to a bullish view.
Yes.
A break above this would unlock the next target at 2,388, which is the June 7th high, followed by the 2,451 all-time high.
Yeah, so you see a little gap right there. Today it was 2,402. Can you pull up ATMEX real quick? I think it might be pulled up already on this one.
No, baby, because it's acting up.
Because you get the chart on there.
I be letting this little baby use the phone, y'all, and you already know Mama needs a new phone. You said the ATMEX chart, silver?
It's a chart. Yeah.
Just silver?
Well, you can bring up all of
them. Did I do it right?
I was going to show the gold because it just hit.
This one?
Yeah. So see right
there.
there.
So you want them? Hold on. Don't start talking yet. Okay.
So go down.
Let me just make sure cousins can see it. All right.
All right, go up so we can see the numbers. So you see the number $2,403. So in comparison to what she's saying, it's far above the resistance level that we are trying to break, right?
And it's not that far from the all-time high.
It's about
$47, $48 from the all-time high.
Which, to be honest, is a lot.
It is,
in
yeah.
Gold movement,
yeah.
Because you see gold move $66 today, and that was almost 3%. And that's a big move in gold.
So you're not going to see Bitcoin swings, which is, I think, what Cousin T was probably alluding to.
Yeah.
Right? They're not such volatile high swings, and that is why you see large investors investing in gold by the metric tons. It's a safer investment to them.
Yes.
Because they're not trying to make a whole bunch of money. They just want to preserve their money and make a little bit on the top. So it's very different from those who are bullish on Bitcoin. They have a different objective. The last thing I want to say, and this is to back up what Cousin T was basically talking about as well, is the trend is now sideways in both the short and medium term, and the long term gold remains in an uptrend, though.
That's good. Yes, sir. Let's be happy about gold being in an uptrend. I'm not saying we're gold bugs, but gold has a utility, and it has a very strong utility right now. Gold and precious metals in general. Silver, I would be more bullish on because of the gold to silver ratio. But bullish on precious metals as somewhat of a safe haven
Yeah.
for some of your bigger investments, some of your long term investments. If you have, like you said, if you're trying to, what are people trying to do? 10x their money and stuff like that.
Cousin T wants to know how long is long term. That is remaining in the long term goal remains in an uptrend. Are
Oh,
they
you talking
typically
about
talking about 6 months, 12 months?
as for Bitcoin or in
No, he's
precious
talking about
metals?
precious metals. It's saying gold remains in uptrend
Yes.
for the long term. He said typically what would the long term be?
Gold, is that what it's saying outright? Is that what the article is saying?
Hmm.
It's saying well, so because it once again, like Aaron says, you got to look at the wording that they use. Uptrend for the long term. So for the long term, as they're going to use it, is going to be probably half a quarter to a full
That's
quarter.
what,
So
yeah, he was trying
so
to get
maybe
an idea.
3 months, month
Okay.
and a half, three
About a
months.
quarter then.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
because gold usually gets very strong around Christmas, the holiday time, and so if you could get, if you can get, if you can get it gold around the holidays, and you'll see it be in a very strong uptrend, usually around the holidays. A lot of this stuff is funny because Bitcoin really, really jumped up like the last 5, 6 years, like really jumped up as far as price movement.
Yeah.
And gold's been around so long that sometimes you get
Over
like a
6,000
yeah,
years.
yeah. Sometimes you get it's like, wow, this has been around this long, so we're used to this cycle of gold year after year, year over year. And now Bitcoin has come and kind of disrupt that because people are treating it as gold 2.0. So then you have people who say, well, I go get the gold and I can go get the gold 2.0.
So there's something else I want to tell you, Cousin T, and this is really to all the cousins.
Uh-huh.
Silver, because of its secondary industrial use in all of our electronics,
Oh, yeah.
M1 processors, solar panels, televisions, laptops. Once the
Cell
silver
phones.
is used on the secondary market, it is not salvageable, meaning they don't go into dumpsters and take the silver out of your MacBook that died and put it in a new MacBook, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Silver will be the first precious metal struck from the periodic table,
Yes.
right? It is going into ultimate scarcity. We've already talked about how it's not being mined fast enough for demand.
Right.
So that's two.
And the mining's being disrupted.
That's three.
It's being disrupted. Yeah.
Number four is they haven't really found another metal or even an alloy. For those of you who don't know what an alloy is, it's a mix of metals or an alloy in order to replace silver. They know that this time is coming. What's happening is you have a certain entity that is manipulating the ability for silver to really kind of shoot up because they're trying to hoard all of it. They want to be the source of silver when it goes into extinction, and they're also buying it in order to further force it into extinction. So it's trading sideways. It makes its increases like it did pretty well today. But JP Morgan Chase is the world's largest
Largest
holder
holder.
of silver. Go ahead.
And I know as you keep talking, if you could just pull that silver chart back up for me, I would like to speak on it after you finish talking about JP Morgan Chase,
So
our
when we
friend.
talk about low time preference,
Our friend.
that's what's important, right? Low time preference means keep dollar cost averaging, keep dollar cost averaging into I just had it up. Keep dollar cost averaging into the silver because let me do silver chart. Eventually what's going to happen is you will have you will have an asset, a tier one asset. Bubba, why can't I find the daggone chart?
I don't know. You had it up. Did you close it out?
I did, because it was acting up. You will have an asset that people are going to be willing to pay for.
Yep.
Once JP Morgan Chase has everything in order, when they shoot that price all the way up.
Yep, because you have. Oh, I never got to my article about some of the movement. I'll get to it right next, real quick. I don't want to keep us too long. It's Friday night. Maybe we chilling on Friday night. Yeah, you just if you hit AppMax and just hit the charts.
But I did, and it didn't take me there.
Oh,
See, look, I keep hitting silver. It's not bringing the chart up. Let me
okay.
go to my
Charts.
history.
You have to type charts
I
in the
did,
search.
and it didn't work.
You just do silver chart on Google.
There we go. Okay, I just went back into my history. You need to show them something on the chart again?
On the silver chart, not the gold. Just wanted to show you one last thing on the chart for the day.
There we go.
Okay, is this the silver chart for the day? 31.45 is where we are at right now. Once again, you can see.
I remember when silver was like $22. Remember that?
Right, so that's why we had to get on Cousin T. Like, man, we've been it's at a good price, price to cost
It's
average.
just it's not Bitcoin performance. But
Right.
again, it's over 6,000 years old. I don't expect Bitcoin performance. But like I said, when JP Morgan Chase has all of their little ducks in a row, silver is now being struck from the periodic table. It is a thing that they're going to be teaching in science class like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
That number is going to zoom to the moon.
Yep, and I got an article about that. So you see right here.
And it may be something that you want to get for your children so that when they live in a world without silver, they have some leverage.
Well, you see here, right here, Friday, July 5th at 6:49 this morning. Silver was about 30.77. And you just see always in a Friday at a strong close. You see this strong close. I'm not saying you always see a strong close, but you'll see a move, whether it's up or down on Fridays. And you've seen it go from 30.73. Like, okay. And boom, boom, boom. What did it do? It pretty much closed at the high of the day, which isn't.
No, they usually try to push it down.
So usually high of the day, low of the day isn't the closes that you will get from silver and gold, but because of those poor,
Baby, you knocked the thing down.
Because of the poor, oh man,
and all of the earth and the soil.
Yeah, because of those poor.
I'll clean it up when you're done. Don't worry.
Employment numbers. This is what you get. You get precious metals that move.
He knocked his little plant down. That's his plant, not mine. Okay. He said, hold on now. You just told me my silver mark was short term. That was 10 years, but the long term is a quarter. When they talk about the long term, they're referring to about a quarter. I was just saying, I remember, but 10 years ago, silver was like $13, wasn't it? $11?
Something low.
It was like 10 years ago, silver was like between $8 and $11 T-Will line. So
where's that chart at? You can just go back on the chart.
They don't have a 10-year. They just have all, and I don't know how far all goes back.
Go back all, and then you
goes back to 1993. So 10 years ago would be 2014. Let me see. 2014. It was $19. That's 2018. It goes from 2013 to 2018, and I don't know why. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. It was $19 10 years ago. It was $9 in 2008. We've been buying. Simon's been buying silver. I
Yeah,
can't say we. Simon's been buying silver since Honor About Reggie was born. So that's 2008.
yeah, you see $17, and this is a big move if you go from $17 to $30 an
Right.
ounce,
Again, don't expect wild
especially
swings from.
on spot price. That's only on spot, and
Mhm.
you get different
Yeah.
variations when
Cousin
you
Jake
have.
want to know if you've been buying XRP.
Uh,
Oh wait. Cousin Left Freedom Ring said, I agree with Max Kaiser. All roads will lead to Bitcoin. There's a hostile takeover in my bedroom suite right now. I feel like a fort is being constructed. I got like 6 chairs in here. Bubba, are you trying to build your fort in here?
tell him to stop.
No, I help him. He can build it in here. It's fine. I know, baby. Just leave it. We'll have a superconductor up by 2035. What will silver be used for then? It'll likely be either mined or bought into ultimate scarcity, cousin T. So if they do have the superconductor up by 2035, JP Morgan Chase is going to hoard all the silver. Is the superconductor going to be as effective as silver? Is it going to be as economically affordable as silver? Like, there's a lot of questions. What is the superconductor made of?
Right.
Is it in abundance? Right? There's lots of questions that need to be answered for that thing. But J.P. Morgan Chase, I can't even tell you what type of spirit they work with. They're rarely wrong in their forecasting.
Yeah, they are.
They will make it so.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is Apple going to prefer the superconductor, or are they going to just go right to JP Morgan Chase to source their silver? Right. These are all of the questions that we have. Y'all know that they work together in cahoots. So, maybe smaller businesses, smaller enterprises may go for the superconductor, maybe not. Right. We'll need to kind of see how that works or how that's going to work out. But the idea is there's nothing wrong with just getting a few ounces for your kids, for yourself, whoever it is. Simon has long resigned to the idea that he is going to hoard a significant amount of wealth that he believes he is not going to see or enjoy, and it is for his grandchildren or great grands.
Right.
Right. So everybody's financial vision is different, right? Cousin T, that may not be your objective. We have a lot of children. I know some of you are like, well, 4 kids ain't that much. To us, it's a lot, right? And I'm going to tell you that when I was 15, the doctor told me, your womb is so mangled, you're probably not going to be able to ever bear children. So the fact that my womb bore lots of fruit, had a great harvest. Simon takes that very seriously. We've had some losses, and they're traumatic. But his idea is that not only to take care of our children, but to consider those who we know will come to be. They just haven't come yet, right? They haven't come into existence yet. And if our great grandparents, if our grandparents would have had the foresight, like, okay, I know that Clotilde's going to have 3 children. I know she's going to have some children, right? All this gold that my father brings to my mother that she don't even care about, I'm going to pick these sacks up and I'm going to keep it for my grandchildren, right? That she don't even have a value for. I'm going to keep this, and it's Venezuelan gold at the time. I'm going to keep this for my grandchildren. When my grandchildren are born, I'm going to give it to them. Or maybe she says, when my grandchildren are born, I'm going to teach them about it because I want them to give it to their children. Just imagine if 3, 4 generations came into the idea that I'm going to do this for generations that have not yet existed. I know Black people love to talk about the ancestors. And my question is, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but why we got to wait for them to die to help us? Like, that don't make any sense to me. Why can't our ancestors help us in life? Right? So I don't believe in any of that ancestor talk. I don't believe in none of it. And sometimes when things are happening in life, I think to myself, like, if this is the best help you can give me, then what is you doing? Right?
Okay.
So, little things. Instead of waiting for your ancestor to die and to guide you in life, and I don't think if that's the case, they ain't doing a great job. Um, that's why I walk with the Holy Spirit. He's doing a fantastic job. Um, why don't, and this was actually Simon's idea, so I can't take credit for it,
Yeah.
but why don't we do that in life? Why our kids gotta wait till we die to help them and their children and their
They can use
grandchildren in life?
right. I mean, they don't have to wait till we die to use the silver, right? You know what I'm saying? If they need a piece of silver right now, like for example, we have our oldest, our eldest. If he needed a little piece of something, then we can break him off a piece of something,
Well,
right? Even
typically
if it's just
though, we
like
have
500 to $1,000, it's just to help him
mm-hmm.
get going in his life. If we had to break him off a good portion of his wealth, which is silver and Bitcoin, and for maybe a wedding
Oh boy.
or something like that, then we would do that. But it would be there for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to wait till
Right, where you don't have any anxiety when your wife is
You can scoot
pregnant.
up a little bit. Just scoot up a little bit. I'm gonna see what he's got going on. Like scoot up towards the. No, scoot up towards the thing. No,
I know, but I don't want you to trip over the
no, I got it. I can see it now. We got the light. Just want. I'm sorry. I just want to step across because he's trying to build a fort behind our back.
Let them build the fort, Simon. But you gotta turn the chairs the other way.
Yeah, and
Because
Yeah, for the tenting. Go ahead.
because they don't have wall.
Yeah, so that you can have better walls. So, that's the idea, right? That your children have the help that their counterparts,
See,
your children have the wealth that their counterparts have, right? Back in the day, the bride's father would pay for the wedding, and we know that that's so far gone for our community. It's not funny, right? Typically, the bride's father doesn't have money to pay for the wedding. She got to pay for the wedding herself, or she expects her husband to put it on his credit card. I'm not really sure what people do nowadays. Um, Simon and I, we got married for $75. And they always tell you that justice of the peace weddings typically do better than your 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 weddings, because your justice of the peace wedding isn't about that princess fairy tale moment. It's really about actually getting married. So now, do I regret that? A little bit. I wouldn't have had a Princess of the Bride wedding, but it would have been nice to put on a beautiful wedding dress. See if my husband cries when I come down the aisle. Had my father walk me down the aisle and stuff, which I won't ever get to have that experience because he's gone. So, just knowing that you have a safety net for them and you think about them, right? We brought these children here, they didn't ask to come. I know that some people, when they start talking to you about the conception of their children, it was an accident. They didn't plan for it. It wasn't something that they were working on. And I said, even so, your accident shouldn't be their problem, right? We should be able to support them in life. So, like I said, there's gonna come a time when Bitcoin is not gonna be so easily accessible either, right? The whales are gonna have what they have. The people are gonna have what they hoard. Like cousin Jake ain't letting go of his Bitcoin at all, right? So we're gonna come to a world where his daughters and likely granddaughters will have access to Bitcoin because of his foresight. And these are the things as a community that we should consider. Our counterparts, and not all of them, but our counterparts have tradition in where they have a 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5 generation plan. And they're taught that from young so that they keep that going on. So that's where you get these legacy families from. Michael Saylor has a 99-year wealth plan and does not have any children. Now he has a niece he's very fond of, and she will eventually have children. And because of his foresight, likely her great grandchildren and great great grandchildren will be well off, well to do, and well secured in their generation. So we want to start looking at these things, right? We have 4 Black men, and depending on wherever they source their wives from, those wives are going to be expected to be cared for. And in an economy like today, where it's very difficult for Black men to break into corporate America, it's extremely difficult because it is overrun by us and other counterparts. It's hard for
overrun by us in corporate America.
I said overrun by us and other counterparts.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to turn the show into that. Okay. But it's very difficult for stoic Black men to make it, to break into corporate America, get those great work from home jobs, unless they're techies and so on and so forth. And even then, it's very difficult because they have to compete with the overseas talent, right? India, the Ukraine, Hungary, like all of these Eastern European countries have high tech talent for a quarter of the price.
Yeah, and then with the tech situation, you can always add racism in the hiring process, and it's hard to really, it's hard to pinpoint and say, hey, you hired this guy because he was, and they did.
But at 20, right, we didn't have the foresight of that. It's at the point now where I tell Sean, his name is Tayshawn, I say on your resume, you are Sean Simon, because they don't know what you are. And that works, right? When it's Tayshawn Simon, nobody calls you back. And then the minute you change it to Sean Simon, all of a sudden, everyone calls you back. And it makes you wonder, like, the resume hasn't changed. I just changed the name of it. And there you have it. So we have 2 dining room tables. We have a 12-seater and a 10-seater, 6-seater, 8-seater. Yeah. We have a 10-seater, a 12-seater, and an 8-seater. And I think both of my dining room tables,
got a lot of
chairs are up here.
You got a lot of chairs in our room,
But Tino, Mom and Dad ain't gonna be able to move around the room if your fort is this big.
You just gotta stop.
Let me help you when I'm done.
Just stop for a little bit.
Yeah, just for a minute. I have to move that table. We gotta move this chair. I'm gonna help you build your fort. Just hold on a second. So that's it. But these are the discussions we want to have in the community. For those of you who are single and you don't have any children, you don't foresee having children, again, your objective is going to be very different in your dollar cost averaging goals. Very, very different.
Yes, very different.
And then you do want to ask yourself, what does it look like? Right? Yeah. Is it for retirement, right? Because that's a really important goal for your wealth. So I'm going to tell you all right now, too many people do things based off of tradition. So let me make something clear to you. You will not have Social Security supplement, right? If you're about 40 or younger, you will not have Social Security supplement when you retire. The retirement age is actually increasing. For women, it was 62. For men, it was 65. Now it's women 65.
No. I'm sorry. I'm just talking to him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Baby, just wait. Just
sit down.
Now it's women 65, men 67. We're seeing a lot of trends to where I read an article to you guys at one time where there was a woman, she said she didn't retire until she was 72 because she couldn't. And that is with Social Security still being supplemented.
Yeah.
Right? Because the economy, the inflation, now granted, I don't know where she worked, how much she put away. Because another problem is that too many of us in our community aren't taking our benefits seriously at our jobs. Right? If you have a matching program, you're only putting 3% in instead of trying to do the 10%, depending on what your household budget maybe you can't do 10%, but I guarantee you, if you did a FaceTime call with us, we could find in your spending habits, you can absolutely do 10%. And it's just a matter of what does your discipline look like? Do you have low time preference or basically a delayed gratification now to be secure later on? You be a little uncomfortable now, not uncomfortable, you're going to be inconvenienced now. That should be the term that we use. You will be inconvenienced now in order to be secure later. We're also seeing that I call it a cooperative environments are increasing, but multiple generations are now living in one household. Whether the parents have to live with the children or the children have to live with the parents and their children also live there and so on and so forth, we are seeing more cooperative environments in households. People had a tendency of kicking their children out at 18. I don't know. That's an American thing. West Indians typically don't do that.
Not at all.
But you're noticing that children are not leaving the home at 18 because they really can't, right? At 18 years old, you don't really have any skills. Whether you're going to college or you just freshly graduated from high school and you're just going to go into the job force, you don't have the skills in order to command the salary in order for you to live on your own. You cannot afford even the efficiency apartment and all of its utilities and to eat and so on and so forth and gas and a car and et cetera, for you to be on your own when in times past, you could leave at 18 and be on your own. Simon and I both left the house at 18.
Yeah.
We were gone.
I was out of here. We were out of here.
And as West Indians, I could have stayed in my father's house. So whenever I was ready to go, catch my breath, put money away, I could have done all of that. I just chose to take a different path. Often West Indian children do get a good breath. They're able to save money for a house and stuff like that. And that's why in the FBA, West Indian conflict is what I'm going to call it, debate, whatever you want to call it. The West Indians do always kind of look at like, why y'all be struggling? And it's just like, well, your mom came here, got a really good job. You were able to stay home, save up because of, your cultural dynamics, save up for your house and stuff. You just kind of get a better leap off in life. And we want to incorporate both type of cultural aspects to our family. Sean's 23. I would not shove him out the nest in order to live in the world. But here, he could live by himself, right? He said, Mom, Dad, when I get paid, I'm going to give you guys whatever in order to help here in the household. If you would just kind of honor that, like rent or, contribution to the household, like a cooperative environment. And this would be like my little apartment. Okay, cool, right? We got enough rooms in the house.
That's fine.
But we do want to have those conversations. And it shouldn't be I had to figure it out, so you should too. We should be sitting down and talking with our children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, godchildren, whoever you have an influence over on, I would say, goal planning and budgeting. I told Simon I would like for him to do a show on budgeting.
Yeah, you guys, if you guys wanted that, let me know.
I think whether y'all ask for it or not, it is something that we should do.
I don't want to be redundant. If something they already understand, then
How many people, and be honest, right? If you're watching the replay, how many of you stick to a budget and do not have any shortfalls between checks consistently? And be honest. Right? How many of you keep a budget planning book, stick to that, write the expenses down, keep up with it, keep up with your ledger and so on and so forth? I'm sure that the average person is not doing that.
Maybe.
It's too disciplined and it's too tedious. Right? Mugs are just checking their checking accounts. Is there enough money for me to do this? Yeah. Okay. And that's the end of that. And it's not like back in the day where you wrote a check and you had to wait for the check to clear. Now, when you pay your bills, it comes out right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of people are budgeting. And this is why we look at households with mass consumption, and then they'll turn around and tell you there's just not enough money for me to invest because I can see that I'm like short every paycheck. And it's like, well, you're short every paycheck, sweetheart, because of your mass consumption, right? If we just kind of look at the way you shop, the camisole you bought, the hair you got done, the nails you got done, the shoes that you bought, this 70% off sale, and you felt like you needed to buy $400 worth of stuff because you really got $700 worth of stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So,
I know what you're saying.
there is room to up your investments, but it's also a discipline consistency issue, which is really a commitment issue, right? Your why has to be a passionate why I'm doing this. Why am I inconveniencing myself? And my why is because I love my children more than I love whatever little trinket I was going to spend the money on. I love my grandchildren who have not come here yet with all of my heart. And I want them to have a better life than to get that new Louis Vuitton purse or whatever it is that you don't really need, but is really nice.
Yeah, preach.
So your why is very important. And that's the first thing you want to teach. And it doesn't have to be a child. Maybe you got to teach it to yourself, or maybe you teach it to your significant other. I know there's a lot of people on here who are constantly sending me emails telling me how they're heavy, heavy, heavy into crypto. They have this great vision for what they want to do with the crypto, and their mates are wildly disinterested in what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And when there is extra money, instead of me running the profits back into, a different investment, the profits are consumed.
Consumption being a big, big, big problem with the Americans.
But two, also the lack of value for how the profit was conceived. And that's a big deal, right? When you're in a cooperative situation, right? He don't have a checking account. I don't have a checking account. We have a checking account, right? It has our names on it. So when one person is doing something in order to increase the money and the other person is not interested, there's no value for how the money is being produced. And therefore, there's not going to be any...
And put away.
And there's not going to be any cognizance in the consumption of that money, right? It's just, oh, we got some extra money, cool, right? I'm about to head to the mall, or I'm about to go on Amazon, and it's gone. So this is why we're saying we need to find ways to open the dialogue in the community to get people more aware of wealth building, of money, right? That low time preference. Cousin T, we need to be is a word I'm looking for. My little seizure brain. Well, we need to work into our collective consciousness, low time preference.
Okay.
A long, long time ago, when women could read the stars, when women's intuitions were, when it really walked with them and talked with them and told them more than your boyfriend cheating on you. Right? And it told you more wisdom than that. We understood as women what the virtues were, right? Patience being chief among the virtues. Grace is also a virtue. And we've lost that, right? They have really worked hard to deprogram you from God's virtues. Patience is a virtue. I don't even hear people say that anymore. That was something that used to be worked into your collective consciousness. So when your grandmother was raising you and she was teaching you how to be one with the earth and how to be one with God and how to interpret your dreams and stuff like that, she would sit and teach you patience, and she would give you exercises for you to really understand what patience was.
True.
I remember I was about 5 years old and my grandmother was teaching me about patience. And we went downstairs and she put on a pot. She was going to make some rice, right?
Okay.
And she said, "You stand here and watch this pot until it starts to boil." And I felt like I was standing there for 2 hours waiting for the pot to boil. Right? And then she put on another pot with rice and she turned it on. She says, "Come, let's go, read a story." And we were reading the Berenstain Bears. I'll never forget it. And it was the one that came with the tape and it would ring the bell for you to turn the page. And it was a short book. So by the time the book was, she said, "Let's go check on the rice." And it was boiling. It didn't feel like any time passed. Mm-hmm. And that was some of the wonderful exercises that our grandmothers, Big Mama, whoever that influence was, would use to say, as a woman, you are supposed to exhibit patience. Patience will give birth to grace, that gracefulness, right? So you're not the asshole in line who waited 2 minutes longer for your venti latte at Starbucks and you're throwing a temper tantrum, right? So that you're not that person.
Yeah.
But it also taught you to understand the development of abundance, the development of prosperity. Those things are not short-term things. There is no such thing as an overnight celebrity. Every celebrity that you feel just showed up yesterday, when you start hearing their story, they telling you they've been doing this for 15 years before anybody even looked at it.
Oh, yeah.
Even Kevin Samuels, to some people, it looked like Kevin Samuels turned on his computer and all of a sudden he blew from 6 people to 6 million people a night.
Right.
And Kevin Samuels was like, "I've been doing this for 10 years now. I said this one thing to this lady and now I'm viral." Other influencers will tell you, I started this thing, Mel Robbins, she's been doing it forever. And just the other day, it feels like her, stuff was growing. I always talk about Let Freedom Ring, and Let Freedom Ring has a very special place in our heart because he was with us from the single digits. We would only have like 4 people in the room when we used to do that show. Yeah. And it used to be a pre-recorded show. So we would get like 4 comments or something like that, to where our average show has between 40 and 60 people in the live, much less who have viewed the show. Yeah. Now, are we in the thousands? No. But to us, that is significant increase. It is abundance to us. If only 3 people come to listen to some of the wisdom that we have to share with you, if 300 people crowded into a room to hear you talk, that's a big no. That's a lot of people. It's just that in the digital age, you're like, well, you don't have 30,000 views and you don't have 70,000 views and you don't have 170,000 views. You don't have 1 million views. And you're like, "Oh, okay, understood." But
no, what she says is real because, like she said, just 300 people. And if you went to an average high school classroom, right, that's going to hold 20, 30 people. Even if you went to a medium-sized to large-sized college, and you had
you won't have 300 people in the theater.
Yeah, you'll have a theater type of classroom, and you won't have 300
You won't
people.
have 300 people in the theater.
But some of those classes that are highly sought after, then you'll have, people are packing in. And then but 300 people in one place looks different. It looks different. So, we always take it serious about how many people actually show up because.
And that's why we engage with you guys so much, because unlike other shows, and it's something I hope that you guys appreciate, our show is us engaging with you. It is not us talking to you.
Right.
It is, "Hey, cousin, what do you have to say about that?" It's you having the ability. We leave it open, right? If you guys say, "Hey, I want to hop on and have the verbal intercourse with you guys and with our other cousins."
Oh, stop it. Just stop it, please. Just
what?
Stop
I'm the chief hip hop head. What you mean?
Okay.
Why? Y'all didn't like that verbal intercourse? No, no. Where my hip hop heads at? All right. You guys can join us for that, and we'll let you come on and talk with us about, economics, wealth building, family building, community building. We have a cousin who is really, really interested in trying to meet with the community where he is. There is no crypto community. And he's really interested in kind of trying to, just chat and have that reach out. I'm not sure what the meetups look like in his city and stuff, but these are the things that we want to accomplish. We want to accomplish some type of roundtable where you guys can talk about the DeFi projects that work for you, the altcoins that you guys absolutely love. Apparently, cousin Jake is an XRP fan, right? Because he keeps asking about it. Cousin Jake be trolling.
What's the price today?
But probably 54 cents or something like that. But a place where we can have the discussions we need to have to be cognizant and aware of our fates. And you're seeing more and more and more, you're coming away from the idea that the government is going to fix it, right? That was past generations, fix it, Jesus, right? The government will take care of us. The government's going to do something. When COVID hit, what's the government going to do? And everybody utilizes the government as some type of weird savior that up front, all politicians do is lie. So why did you now turn this into your savior? And unfortunately, from a psychological aspect, it is simply a person who is unwilling to sit down, think about their own fiscal plan, right? Implement that plan with consistency, discipline, basically commitment, and see it through, tweaking it along the way, right? It's a very special personality that's willing to do those things. And that's the problem. This is why we're saying you want to develop your own dominion in your own house. So it don't matter who the president is. Don't matter who your governor is. Don't matter who your mayor is. Right? Because you are the king or queen of your own dominion. You have a plan. You sat, you thought about it, you looked at it, you look over your financial statements, you look at your spending, you're telling the truth to yourself about what you want and what you are willing to trade for it. Some type of sacrifice has to be submitted. There we go, made in order for you to gain the gains that you're looking for. You don't have to go and kill a chicken as the sacrifice. It's simply, where can I inconvenience myself here?
But you can.
Don't do that. That's witchcraft. Where can you inconvenience yourself here in order to be secure here?
Right.
And that is what's important. This is why in the United States, cousins, they keep finding ways to make things more convenient for you. They are trying to lull you further into sleep, but they're also trying to further intertwine and intermesh you. Look how my fingers look like a braid into their demonic systems.
It's interesting.
And convenience, because convenience, y'all don't know this, psychologically equates to your subconscious mind as luxury. And that's why they do it. And a lot of people are like,
run that back again. Let's run that back.
Convenience.
Let's run that back.
Convenience
run that back.
Is understood by your subconscious mind as luxury.
Can we get examples? This so
DoorDash. So I can go on my phone to my favorite restaurant. They are going to prepare my food. Somebody's going to bring it to my house. Subconsciously, it makes you feel important. People keep complaining about how expensive DoorDash is, yet DoorDash is making profits into the hundreds of millions. Right? Amazon. Anything your mind can fathom will
Okay.
come right to your door, typically same day.
And so this,
Right? And it's a luxury that only rich
so
people had access to at one time.
well, so let me ask you a question: is it luxury?
In a sense, yeah. In a sense, right? You are so important that we're going to bring this right to your door. You don't even have to leave the house. And it's, in a sense, magical teleportation. I thought of this thing, and within
30
60 minutes, this
Okay.
thing appears, right? It's almost magical at my door. And doesn't matter what it is, right? Long gone are the days where you have to wait a week for something in the United States. That includes furniture. Remember back in the day when we first got married, we had to wait 2 weeks for our furniture to be delivered.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where, like, did y'all just take our money and you ain't bringing the furniture? That was back when we got married over 20 years ago, almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Now,
Crazy.
mugs can get furniture same day delivered. You can get appliances delivered in just a few hours. And your subconscious mind translates that as luxury.
And we like to have luxury because
Cousin T. Willine said in 2011, silver was $35. In 1981, it topped out at $47. I give up. Nancy B, thank you so much for joining. All in all, Cousin T, like we said, silver's price is being manipulated by JP Morgan Chase, but it doesn't take away from the fact that silver is a good way to protect your assets. Again, you guys living in the digital era are used to these wild swings with Bitcoin, and that's not how tier one assets typically work. Only Bitcoin works like that. And Bitcoin it could be 6,000 years old, but it hasn't been in play for 6,000 years. NCB, that's right. Plan for the future. 4 kids could turn into 12 grandkids easily. Hell yeah, maybe more than that. Keep stacking, Gordon.
thank you.
NCB is happy to see Cousin T Will line. It only takes one generation to change the outcome of multiple. Our ancestors do. You just have to tap in. I get that, but I don't buy into the ancestor stuff. I don't. Or my ancestors, I don't know what they're doing. So my understanding is, let me help these children while I'm here. Let me have cognizant thought of those who will be here one day. And I've helped you in life. So you don't have to be looking for, to me, dead people to help you. And it's like, if you guys are dead and you can foresee stuff in the future and stuff, I should have a lot more information. I feel like and this is this is just me. My worldview is that for me, I've seen the Holy Spirit do magical, miraculous things in my life that I knew nobody did this but God, right? The absolute most high. I can like hear his voice in my mind when he speaks to me. I don't hear my grandmother in my mind speaking to me. So, that's just my worldview. And in my life, I'm saying that Simon and I are, instead of waiting for the ancestors to do anything for you, we're going to try to do it in life and then teach you to do the same so that you have lineage that is cognizant, aware, and thinking about you and planning for you, expecting you. And to me, I don't know if there's a love greater than loving something that hasn't existed yet. Right? That's almost to me a godly love.
Oh, okay. Yes.
As the great mother, as the great father.
I agree with that. Somebody who is showing love to some beings that are not here yet.
But we know will exist.
Will exist.
Hopefully we have smart contracts that can hold money for 4+ generations. I think that's the whole point of the smart contract. So we're watching the development of that, Cousin T Will line, to see because you got to remember a lot of the stuff that we handle and deal with. I remember Simon used to say this to me all the time. Didn't exist sometimes a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. right?
Okay.
And they're newly developed technologies that we're working with and trying to understand and trying to tap into and watching the development. So I agree with you, cousin T Willine, about the developments. He said they live in your DNA. But I've also read that God's name is in our DNA, right? So I'm flying with that for right now. When I say God, I'm talking about Yahuwah and
So,
Yahusha.
two things. Well, two things. Number one, I'll go back to what you said is it is back maybe 2015, whatever 2016. I heard somebody like Gary Vee say that everything that we use today
Yes.
didn't exist 25 years ago, and he was talking
And
about
that's what you told
Google,
me.
Twitter, Facebook,
And that,
Cash App,
mm-hmm.
PayPal, all the stuff that we use on a daily basis to handle
DoorDash,
business
Uber,
is like didn't exist 25 years ago. So the world is changing so fast
so
that
rapidly.
every 25 years, at least, you got to be on top of the game.
Yeah. And we're going to see how these smart contracts are going to develop as we move further along. I got like a little
And I'll tell
cowlick
you
here.
this because my beautiful wife, she's so smart and she has this some kind of high end job that she's not allowed to tell anybody about.
That's not true. I
Like
just don't.
she works for the
I just
FBI or
don't.
something.
No, I don't work for that.
But so many things are changing.
Even tech wise,
Tech
what was
wise, social
the
media
premiere thing
wise,
yesterday is obsolete this morning.
they're using different. I say, hey, somebody messaged you on what Slack. I say, what's Slack? And so I'm getting left behind for not being in the workforce. And like, no, this is the messaging app we use here. We do this.
Slack. All he hear all day
it.
long is my Slack go ding ding. Oh, in Teams, I had to
turn.
I turned the notification sound off for Teams because the two notifications would drive him crazy all day.
Yeah,
Drive me
so
crazy.
even in today's world, you can see that you have other, right? You have other, what do you call
What
it?
babe?
Social media.
Oh yeah, like
group.
I can't get into Instagram just because I ain't willing to do what needs to be done in order to build my Instagram up. That goes for my Twitter. We have so few followers on Twitter, y'all. If you guys could follow us on Twitter, I'd appreciate it. Because I ain't willing to do what them other crypto girls do in order to get the 200,000-300,000 following. I ain't willing to do it.
And so this is it's also very interesting as you look into it, because you're like, wow, this is the direction this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, this is what we have to do.
Let freedom ring. Very good point. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? And the idea for us is what you don't need, you pass down and you teach them, right? Wealth is squandered within a generation because a lot of times it's left to them, right? No one sat and taught them how to manage it, so on and so forth. When you look at a Donald Trump and you look at his history, right, all the way back to his grandfather stealing Tesla's technological intellectual property and paperwork and stuff like that. They teach their children from young about wealth. They take them to work. They introduce them young to that good old boy network, right? And it's almost part of their collective consciousness at birth, but it's also cultivated through the years. This is why they said that Ivanka, his daughter, was more of the first lady than his wife because she wasn't really interested in doing it. Ivanka was. Mm-hmm. So she sat and she OJT'd. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's on the job training. It's the military acronym. She OJT'd with her dad and with the people who surround her father.
And so let's get this straight. Let's get this out the way. Everybody in the last week or two has had their panties in a bunch because LeBron James has somehow orchestrated something that appears to be high-level nepotism with his son. Mm-hmm. And so what if it is? So what if it
And we
is?
applaud you, LeBron, for giving
Yeah.
your son the opportunity to play on a legacy
So
franchise team
yeah.
and even just make it into the NBA, because a lot of the questions surrounding that is Bronny skilled enough to
Yeah.
be in the
And,
NBA?
and and for most people, most scouts say that he is.
Yeah.
But even if LeBron got him better placement, a more power placement
We
in the
applaud you
NBA,
for that
we applaud you. That's your son. They do it all around
all
the
the time.
NBA, all around other
You even see it
sports.
high level with their agents, right? Now
Yeah.
the son is the new agent, right? The father's like, hey, I'm going to retire. My son's the new agent, right? They already bringing up that small child that the son has, the grandson, to go to school and follow the course to be an attorney so that he can be an agent,
Yeah.
right? And we are the only ones who aren't able to offer our children occupational opportunities.
You can't, and because
You're not in a position to
you're
get
not in
that
a
job for
position
him at
to,
FedEx.
and oh man, and but they take that too. I take that, but he did what he's supposed to do as a
I
father.
agree.
And you call it nepotism. I don't call it
And he got
nepotism.
$100 million contract or something.
Oh no, LeBron got the $100 million
Oh,
contract. Oh
okay.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm sure Bronny, either which way, Bronny's got endorsements, he got NIL deals.
yeah.
Bronny has his own wealth outside of
His
the
father.
right, outside of what his father and his mother have. Well, his father has amassed, right? So these are things that should be applauded and not, not
Discouraged or
discouraged, not looked down upon, not, don't be a hater, right? LeBron did the best thing he needed to do for his progeny. And I'm sure that the little one, Bryce, he's not that far behind,
no, not at all.
right? The daughter, she's going to be able to come up in something, right? Her father is going to make sure of it. That is what we should do. In another aspect, I don't know if you know or care about this, but Beyonce had Blue Ivy tour with her, the Renaissance tour, to teach her how to put together a show, the choreography, the what did you call it? Like the stage stuff, right? Teaching her how to put the budget. She's sitting down with her 12-year-old, how to put the budget together for a concert in order to amass the billions that she amassed, right? So her daughter had basically an internship during the Renaissance tour. It's what we should be doing with our children.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, for us, Simon homeschools the kids, but their
For now.
OJT is financial for the most part. And
Right.
it's the ability to build a stable household, right? In addition to that, there is um, the familial aspects of that,
Yeah.
right? Y'all ain't gonna bring home no baby mama. We don't do that here, right? If this woman is good enough to impregnate, she is good enough to make your wife, to spend the rest of your life with, right? We're not gonna play those worldly games
Yeah.
that the world likes to play. So it's understanding how to build a stable family, how to deal with marital conflict to strengthen and cement your marriage versus running away from issues when they arise and occur. Don't be running back to your parents' house every single time. When we were young, Simon had a very good friend, and we lived in the same place with them. And anytime they got into a fight, she went to her mom's house, he went to his dad's house. And when we were, so we didn't have that ability, right? Not that Simon's parents didn't live there, but we had gotten so used to being on our own, we just had to like sit with each other when we were mad. And they're no longer married, and they got married like
A little bit after
a
us.
little bit after us.
Yeah, I mean,
But they've been together about as long as we've been together. So,
I mean, they have children
mhm,
similar ages and stuff like
yes.
that.
No, they're way younger.
I'm talking about like a similar age.
Gotcha.
Like
So,
started around the same time.
being able to teach those things. Santino. Because our parents didn't teach us that, right? Both of our parents were married until one of the spouses passed away, but they never taught us marital conflict. They didn't teach us The things that I think would have better equipped us, certain things for, child rearing and parenting opportunities, like all of these things. And they did the best they could do. But all of these things we had to kind of stumble upon ourselves. And then we're saying, okay, the stuff that we know, we are going to teach the children, and we're going to tell them, you seek out opportunities, teach your children the things that we may have missed or overlooked.
Oh shit! Look how long we've been going here.
All right, I'm getting off now. NCB, and this is really good. If we're trying to build kingdoms, that takes multiple generations. Agreed. Why not start them off in a great position, and more importantly, teach them how to grow? And that's exactly what we've been talking about. So that was well put, cousin NCB. That's my Guyanese brother. Family class gives, right? What up? What happening, Bana? Leave assets to a family class or a group designation, such as my cousins and their descendants, right? And that's where the trust comes in. So for people like us who have these large families, trusts are very, very important to establish. Cousin Les Square, yes, I would love to see it. Can't remember what I said to make you say that. Sorry. Sounds good. Cousin T. Willine, I haven't had a budget ever, but I never lived check to check. I used to try to go to the bank with 6 months worth of checks. I just never want to go crazy with spending. So you have discipline in how you spend, right? And for somebody like me, the budget's important because I get to see what we're doing and how we're doing it, right? I get to see, are the children consuming too much junk food? Because that's really what costs the money, right? The healthy stuff don't cost nothing.
Yeah, that's really the children consuming too much food.
And it's just a way from a business standpoint for us to view, where is the money going? How is it? Is it productive? Is it wildly unproductive? And to tweak those things. So budgets work great. He said, I used to make one check last 1 month while I was getting it. Simon's like that, but he doesn't really buy anything. So
yeah, I keep it.
Les Square, yes, that's my household. Y'all preaching now. It's not how much you can make, it's how much you can keep. NCB, Simon says that all the time.
How much can you keep? That's the key. How much can you keep?
Your granny is 30 now. Oh, yeah, when I was talking about my grandmother, yeah. So grandmothers now are 30 years old, and unfortunately, they in the club with you looking for a man. And to me, that's like, no, and no.
Competition.
I see my first girlfriend from like 11 years old. She's a great grandmother at 40. Wow, 47. She still has the same mind state. Grandparents nowadays are getting ready for the club. That's exactly what I was saying. SFIV will have millions one day. I'm going to stand in agreement with you, Cousin Will. I am touching on that with you. I stand in agreement. It's from your ears to the ears of Yahuwah.
Please.
The Colonel! We haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for joining. I've never DoorDash, neither have we. Uber Eats, we do Uber Eats when we go to Mexico City. I can't trust these crazy people. Yeah, they doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Preach, Aaron. But I will Amazon. I agree. Amazon, and my Amazon shopping has gotten a lot better. Mostly because I purchased a project management tool. But before, my Amazon purchases were office supplies.
Yeah.
Wasn't even nothing fun, like shoes and stuff. Bitcoin coming this 25 years. Can't hate on LeBron. Nepotism is so done all the time. But when we do it, it's like leave a bitter taste in people's mouth because they don't like to see us. They like to see us struggle and triumph. They don't like the easy triumph or the assist, as Nip would say, right? Nipsey Hussle would say. They don't like the assists. And that's what I don't like. I sit and I watch y'all do it, but the minute we try to do it now, it just makes people uncomfortable. Talked about doing a budget system. Yes, Cousin Les, we are going to do a show on budgeting, so you can definitely share that with her.
Say that.
Cousin Les Square said talked about doing a budget session. We need to do a show on budgeting. Can't hate on. Oh, I read that already. But the idea being that we can teach them how to establish a solid budget. There are lots of people who want a budget, they just don't know how.
Okay. Well.
And it's not as common sense as you think it is, especially when we have these books and they're asking these questions and you put this here and you put this there. I don't really know what it is that I'm doing, especially with women, because their consumption is more impulsive than it is pre-planned and purposeful. But we're about to go to Cousin T Will Line. We're going to see you guys on Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll have the budgeting show on Monday for you.
No, we will. Is it on Monday?
Yeah, today's Friday.
Okay, all right.
We'll put the budgeting show together on Monday.
Okay.
And that way we can have visuals and stuff. It'll give me a little bit to put it together for them. We love y'all. Cousins, stay safe this weekend. Don't be fooling around with those fireworks. Let the professionals do it. I want all of my cousins to come back with their 10 fingers, 10 toes.